just like that with electric. He said, not one in Mexico. He said, well, you're approved.
No,
We're
no,
just gonna
really.
start
I
out.
mean,
Okay.
is there any doubt?
Wasn't in my mind.
Yeah.
He's like, wow. I said, well, I don't owe anything, you know, and
Yeah.
except for a golf cart.
Well, it's,
Like I say, they take it out of my bank account automatically and send me an email to let me know.
Some capacity.
Finance.
I don't have to worry about missing the interest starting from day one, you know.
yeah, that's, I don't know, I'm gonna wait another 2 months. Get my disability here, I think. She said, she's like, I would wait for that because then it's more income, so it's a cheaper interest rate.
Called me the other day, it came up potential spam, so I did not
All right,
answer
so
it.
let's wait.
That was weird. 229 number, but it's a
All right.
potential spam, and then all of a sudden it was a voicemail.
229. Oh, I called
This
you
is
from the
Mr. Joe
office.
for a second.
Well, see, we got
Okay.
like, our office has a main number, but then it has like 10 sub numbers on it.
That's probably what it
I want
was.
to say thanks for the
Probably
night,
wait.
that was really
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
good information.
Good.
Yeah, it helped
That
out a
number
lot.
there.
Even though I didn't do.
I wouldn't
interfere
recognize it. I
level,
said we have like 10
yeah,
different
yeah.
numbers. When you grab an outside line, you
Right,
just
yeah.
get the first number available.
But it,
And each line has to have its
still
own
was
number.
good stuff that I had to read before in there, so.
Well, that's always good. I always tell people, you know, it's a good idea.
Somebody sits in this chair
Then
saying
learn it for a while.
they have to lower it.
Yeah, I gotta lower it down. I can't hardly get my knees under it when I sit down. And hear it completely. I stole one of yours.
And that's what it was the other night.
These do, they're extra,
When I was on the board.
just in case.
Every year. Yeah. And then, when I was on planning.
But I
whenever
talked
once
to
in a
her, but
while.
nobody else did.
And then some other things in my life, you know, kind of.
We learned that he's gonna be doing the invocation tonight.
Okay, I
We
learned
didn't-
next. It didn't say, okay.
Yes,
Correct thing you can say and not do and all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
hopefully we'll get the
Yeah.
schedule
I
for
think it's
future
really-
ones, but I don't have it yet.
All these guys ask the same questions I want. They got to.
I was telling him, it'd be nice.
No, it
Yeah,
just
you
adds
know,
a
like
little bit
Justin
of
Mass.
stress.
It'd be nice if I
I'm
could
gonna be
just
here.
get it.
Oh, well,
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, 'cause
I
it's-
was fine.
I know,
Hello?
yep, I know.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah. Totally fine.
What's
Yeah, well, I'm
up?
glad you found it beneficial.
How was that, I thought about
Did you
going.
hear? We're working at Santa's house.
So was it not worth,
Yeah, I was stopped over.
was it not worth $50?
When I stopped over the day,
Yeah.
Sarah was over.
Yep,
Well,
sounds like
Squirrels and stuff got into Santa house over there, ate wiring.
Like a.
they had a good old
Over
time.
here?
It's gonna be cleaned up
a lot of
and new
IPAs.
and improved before
Okay.
Christmas.
That's what I like.
Oh, maybe they got in the Santa bus.
No,
No,
thank
no.
goodness.
Oh.
I didn't like them.
Well, you got to get on the field, that's pretty cool. Yeah, okay. I saw it go.
I haven't done anything with it for a while. I can't. There's a
Not
wet
everybody gets
spot
to
in his lot over there, right in front of where I park, and when it
You
was
know,
real rainy,
so-
I couldn't get in and out.
We did,
Last-
we redid
last
the
Saturday.
locker room of the for Christmas. Chiefs. I'll have to dig through my pictures.
Bus driver volunteered to drive.
So I pictured out the tunnel, because if you go in here, here's the.
I go jump in
you
it Saturday
come
night.
down here. Or no.
Hello?
Sprinkler was all the way to the floor.
Yeah, here's the visiting center here. So when you
So
come
I
out,
s-
when they come out, they go right down the tunnel. And they're right there.
And then I put some brake
Right.
fluid,
I walked down
brake
to the
fluid,
field.
pouring right back out. The brake line busts right underneath the driver's seat.
I was getting ready to go on.
And when it does that, it's only to the front brake. So
Security
you
guard.
lose,
Man,
like, have like the last
be doing this.
inch of the pedal
but,
catches
because
the
you can't get
brakes.
here in the field.
And so we limp through it. They do it. And then I'm gonna have, Andy Bellmeyer.
Well, you know,
Over at Drew's Diesel, I'm gonna have him fix it for me, but I haven't been, I didn't, no sense in getting out when the weather was bad, because I might need to do it outside.
I'm right there with you.
You know, you got a lot of shit you're trying to put.
Now they'll have the new shop soon.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
All right.
take it for me.
Evening.
You're allowed.
He's wandering around somewhere.
How are you?
Yeah, I got stuck in that soft spot in my pickup.
As well as you
I
should.
got stuck in that soft spot in my pickup. Had to go on four-wheel drive because you don't see it. It looks just,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're in the sinkhole.
Okay. What's up?
Not what I meant.
Mr. Knox?
Go.
Alderman.
No.
I'm slumming, I just wore, he wore blue.
What's that?
What?
It's finally 7.
We're on blue jeans.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's
I usually wear
I
my
didn't get out
dressy
of bed
legs
till-
and that stuff, you know, but.
Oh, I did get out of bed early today. I had to go get the wife from the airport.
Is that your old truck?
From the airport?
Mhm.
Yeah. So her and her girlfriend took a weekend break to,
No, I got.
I know he's always showing up in something different.
He thought about it.
You see that?
okay.
More than multi-family crap.
Yes, I'm against it. 2 reasons. It's gonna be right along BB, and that's taking up commercial area that in the future will be commercial.
We gotta bring it up, but I spoke. It's too late, it's too have to.
Wondering about her.
Be a discussion on this, I'm gonna bring it up.
But
He was told by our
I don't either.
that because of the size and the way it's written. We really don't do that.
That comes to that.
But I'm still voting. I'll call it.
Me too.
I mean,
We have a set. They don't. I'll go 12 back to
Yeah, and I was gonna, I talked.
Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't come.
Well, but
Say,
regardless, it comes
And
to
then-
us.
Ensign wanted to have same thing as talked to you about.
You know, they can push it. And those words. We'll find, you know, we'll get a little discussion.
I don't think we have to rezone.
That's what I said too, but.
If it,
I can't keep my, I don't wanna have my cell phone.
zoning can't.
I have it in my pocket. No one hears what I break. Very some hear it, and I'm terrible looking at my voicemails too.
Because of the way the company gets.
So no, I seen you call back and I appreciate that.
So in other words, they want it, if we deny it, they could turn around and.
Guess they can sue us and get it through, but I don't want it in the commercial zone, cause that's.
But part of it's gonna be commercial. Well, they're putting some commercial.
Not enough.
I don't like it.
Me neither.
You know how I feel.
Big crowd tonight.
they'll announce it, and then you just start saying it when you stand up.
Got my glasses.
Uh-oh.
When I was here the other night.
Wear
That's why I went bifocals. I can still read a parking lot, or license plate. Parking lot.
Yeah.
Close arms. It's like,
Kind of crazy.
That's-
Now they're like,
if I'd be upstairs, they'd be downstairs, and
Yeah.
vice versa. I said, just give me
like
bifocals.
crazy glued
I'm
them
gonna
together.
forget about them.
Exactly.
Before we start, I was noticing it on the last tape, some of us you can't hear that well when we speak, so we probably need to make sure we get the speakers close to us. Call this meeting to order. First order of business, roll call.
Alderman Bass,
Here.
Alderman Cleaver,
Here.
Alderman Headley,
Here.
Alderman Knox,
Here.
Alderman Mills,
Here.
Alderman Stratton. Here, there's a quorum.
Okay, next item, invocation led by Pastor Darrell Jones, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by, Alderman Darren Mills.
Good God, it's a privilege to be back in this place, to have the opportunity to acknowledge you, to acknowledge your work, to acknowledge your control, to acknowledge that you are almighty, and to invoke and ask that you do a work in and amongst mayor, our aldermen, our city staff. That God, your presence and your wisdom, your discernment, understanding would be prevalent here for each of our leaders. That as they weigh their own personal thoughts with that of their constituency, all working together, paid staff, volunteer staff, those that have been elected to represent, as they all work together for the good of this community. And God, we know that you want the good for this community. And so we believe we're coming here together asking for the same thing that you want, and just asking for your wisdom, your discernment, your guidance. And just to take a moment to thank you. Thank you for Grain Valley. Thank you for our neighbors and our friends, our businesses. Thank you for the way that you blessed in the midst of some real trials over the last year or so. And yet you blessed. You continue to bless. You continue to work, and you continue to make yourself known in and among us. And we thank you for it. I pray all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business, approval of agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
Next order, proclamations, seeing none. Next item, citizens' participation. If anyone would like to speak to the board, we request they hold their comments to 2 minutes and state your name and address, please.
My name is Jan Brill. I live at 1035 Southwest Ephraim. I've been a citizen of Green Valley for 15 years. I wrote a letter to the editor, but I'm not sure they'll publish it, so I wanted to come and thank you with all my heart for the citywide cleanup, number one, and the service of curbside pickup for those of us who are senior citizens. I called the number you told me to call, and a lovely woman with a smile in her voice, I don't know who she was, but she got it all arranged for me. They came when they said they were gonna come. I watched them through my window, kind of pick through it to salvage things that were recyclable, which made me feel much better about putting all that stuff out on the street. And as I said in the letter, I actually feel physically lighter getting all that stuff out of my house. It's a wonderful service, and I wouldn't really have been able to take advantage of it if you hadn't offered the curbside service, and so I wanted to thank you. Also, I told a friend that I was coming here today, and she asked me to ask you if you knew when the yellow stripes on the new paving on AA would be painted in. She lives in that housing division where there's a dedicated right turn and left turn lane, and the lines aren't in, and she's seen a couple of people almost have accidents. I told her I didn't know whether it was city business, but I told her I would ask. Do you have any idea when they'll?
We do. And Mark, what is the time frame on that?
I don't have a particular date. We're working with a couple contractors on that, but we hope to have that striped within the next 4 weeks or so.
Thank you so much. And again, I appreciate the citywide community service. Thank you.
Thank
you
you
for
for your
coming.
comments. No one else? Next item, consent agenda.
Mayor, I move we accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, previous business, seeing none. New business, seeing none. Presentations. Presentation by Groton Beeman and Company.
There is a handheld. I know. It's for the recording later. I'm sorry.
It's on. Is it okay? All right. Very good. Mr. Mayor and members of the council, thank you for allowing us the service of providing audit work to your city. We're pleased to serve in that capacity. We hope that the audit is actually a positive experience. A lot of times people hear, the word audit, they relate that to the IRS, and so, but that's not really what we're about when we come in and do an audit for municipalities such as yours. I especially want to give thanks to Stephen, Mallory, Ken, and all the members of the city staff that work in the finance area and in some other areas too as we go about our audit service. And everybody was very cordial, helpful, got things to us promptly, and that makes a big difference. There's 112 pages here, so I don't know how long it's going to take to cover that, but we're not. Page 1 through 3, our independent auditor's report. At the end of the day, this is what we are engaged to do, is to render an opinion on the on the financial statements and whether or not they are presented fairly with respect to generally accepted accounting principles. There's a lot that goes on before those 3 pages get generated. I would highlight on page 1, see, now I have to use just one hand. I have to highlight on page 2, I believe it is. It sets forth both management's page 1. It sets forth management's responsibility as well as the auditor's responsibility. I'm not going to read those to you, but I think it's just important to note that for those of you that haven't heard my presentation before, that the financial statements are the city's. I mean, they're not ours, they're yours. So even though we prepared them, they're your numbers, and there are representations made. You have people that take responsibility for certain aspects of those numbers, but at the end of the day, they are your numbers. Now, our job is to perform an audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, whether that's sending confirmations to banks and underwriters to confirm debt, check balances, see if you have the appropriate signatories on your bank accounts. For those places where you have more than $250,000 invested, have they pledged appropriate collateral in accordance with state statutes? We do a lot of analytical work. We interview members of staff, the board, and then just management, so there's a lot that goes into the audit. And so at the end of the day, this is what we get. And you will see on page 3, no, I get my page numbers right here. Page 2 is our opinion. And this is what's called a clean opinion, unqualified opinion. It's the highest level of reporting that we can render as certified public accountants. And it says that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city as of December 31, 2020, and the respective changes in financial position for the year then ended in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. That's the opinion that you all, in your fiduciary capacity as representatives of the city, should expect. You would hope that you conduct business, that your internal controls, your transactions are recorded such that at the end of the day, the auditing firm can render this type of an opinion. It is also very helpful as you go about conducting certain affairs of the state, or of the city, because your bondholders, they buy your bonds, and this is one of the main ways they have to make sure that you are generating the appropriate amount so that they can rest certain that every 6 months they're going to get their interest, and once a year they're going to get their principal. And so, again, clean opinion, highest level, that's what you want. at any time if I'm not talking right, Jimmy. Just straighten me out. Page 4, government-wide statements. This is what people in business would call a balance sheet. These are the balances as of December 31, 2020 for these respective line items. I would highlight the very top line, cash and cash equivalents. These are unrestricted balances. You can see the amount there in the governmental activities account, as well as the amount in the business type activities account. The total, a little over $20 million, does represent a significant increase over last year. As odd as it might seem, last year was a really, and we're seeing this with many of our clients. Businesses were, either shut down or had to change tactics dramatically. Cities had to regroup and do some things differently. But some of the things that you had to do, or some of the things that COVID created, if you will, end up being financially pretty good for the city. You saw your sales tax revenue increase. Some of that might have been normal anyway, but people were home, not at work, and they're working at home, but they also had more flexibility in time-wise to go shopping, spend money, whatever the case may be here within your city limits. Franchise taxes were up. Some of that would be they're working at home. Thermostat maybe is not being kicked down when they go to work, so they're spending a little more on heating and cooling. And at the end of the day, that's good for the city because your utility revenues are more, and then the franchise taxes that you get for the utilities that are in your city are higher. So, it's a positive. Now, there's some other things that contributed to that also. Your grant revenue was about $950,000 higher than a year ago. The single largest element of that was the CARES Act grant for approximately $875,000. But nonetheless, that does add to that. I mentioned the increase in franchise taxes, and then you also saw a reduction advanced refunded 2 bond issues last year, and they served to lower your P&I, not only just this year, but moving forward. And so all those things added together is what allowed that to happen. The line right below that, the restricted cash, those are monies that are required to be set aside, be it before bond covenants, in the business activities at $387,000. Most of that relates to the third line under liabilities, the deposits that your customers, your citizens put up. And so that has to be restricted. You can't use it for ongoing operations. So you really had a very good year. If you flip the page, page 5, that's sideways, if you look at the third line from the bottom, it says change in net position. Kind of like net income, again, for those of us that are used to looking at business financial statements, but there was a positive increase in net position of $1.8 million in the governmental activities and $657,000 in the proprietary, and that's water and sewer. Both of those are higher than a year ago, as given what I just said, you would expect. I mentioned the grants. You can see there, $1.6 million. Again, last year was $800 and some thousand, so nice increase there. Then pages 19 to 51 is a lot of stuff, and it's all required based upon the various items in your financial statements. And so it's not there just to add weight to the product. Again, all requirements depending on the type of debt you have, depending on what you're doing with your capital assets, what's going on with pension plan. So, but I do want to highlight a couple of them. Page 28, I alluded to this earlier about checking to see if your cash, your investments are collateralized. In note number 2, the last 2 sentences of that, it says the bank balances of demand deposits were fully covered with a combination of FDIC insurance and pledge collateral held in the name of the city. And all deposits were held by a qualified depository. That's a good thing, obviously. I mean, heaven forbid that any financial institution or place where you invested monies would have a tragic event like that. But should it happen, you don't have a single dollar of city asset cash and investments at risk. And that's a state statute. It's important that you follow that, but it's also important, again, in your fiduciary roles, you represent the citizens, whether it's collecting their tax or utility bills or fines, whatever. The money's there and it's available to take care of city operations. Then on page 42, I alluded earlier to the 2 advanced refunding issues last year. Those were a home run, folks. Whoever started the process of exploring that and getting the information and getting the right people involved on that are really to be thanked, because between the 2, you'll end up saving about $6 million in debt service over the life of those bonds. Combination lower rates. Combination also freed up some restricted cash, because now since you've got lower payments, you don't have to have as much money restricted set aside, so it's available for other operations. And then with the lower rates, you can shorten the term sometimes, and so that on the backside that saves. So just an incredible accomplishment. And we also check, as part of the audit, another compliance item, to see whether if you have revenue bonds, which you don't right now, we check to see that you're charging the appropriate rate to pay those. If they're general obligation bonds, we're making sure that your property tax levy is sufficient to cover that. And we also make sure if you have any requirements for bond sinking funds, reserve funds, that the appropriate amounts are being set aside in accordance with the bond covenants. And you're in compliance with all those items. Now, the much, much smaller document that's not bound is labeled communication to those charged with governance. That particular document came about in our profession probably about 10, maybe 15 years ago. But the powers that be in New York decided that because of different failures, frankly, of businesses, and maybe some communication gaps between the auditors and the people running the company, they said there needs to be some communication to those charged with governance. Because frankly, we do very little interaction with you all during virtually none. We're doing it with Steve and Mallory, his crew. Ken certainly gets in on the action. And, but yet you guys are the ones that are responsible in the end. And so we were required to report certain things to you. And just to paraphrase 3 or 4 of the ones that I really like. And again, these are required. They're not ones that I dream up. We're required to tell you if we become aware of any suspected or real fraud. I mean, I think that goes without saying, but we are required to tell you that. We're required to tell you if there was a lack of cooperation from your staff. From my opening comments, that absolutely is not the case. We have to tell you if we find any information that leads us to believe that your staff has consulted with another CPA firm about a matter. In our profession, that's often called opinion shopping. What would happen is, and I'm gonna pick on Stephen. Stephen calls and says, Butch, we're thinking about doing ABC, and we're gonna, and I listened, I said, no, Stephen, can't do that. Here's the way that needs to go. Well, maybe that wasn't the answer he was looking for. And so he calls another CPA firm, and he may or may not get a different answer, but if we become aware of that, we have to share that with you so that you're aware that your staff is doing that. Absolutely no indication of that. We have to tell you about any disagreements with management and staff during the course of the audit. And we've never had any situation like that here. I think there's one more in there that we have to disclose to you, but I'm not thinking of it right at the moment, but you get the essence of it. We're just have to kind of keep you in the loop on some things at a little bit higher level than perhaps you otherwise would be from the auditors. I'll pause for air and respond to any questions you might have. If I do not know the answer right now, I will get it to Stephen quickly, and he can pass that on as appropriate.
Don't believe we have any.
I think I must have answered all the questions.
I must have.
I know, I'm just kidding. Thank you all very much. We really value the relationship we have with the Spring Valley, and we appreciate your people and the opportunity to be of service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, public hearing, changes in planning, or change in zoning.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the board. Mark Tarzan, Director of Community Development. There are two public hearings before you this evening. The first one is Greystone West Track A. The second one is Greystone West Track B. I put up the aerial map just to show you the general vicinity of both of the public hearings before you. This is Buckner Tarzan running north and south. Greystone Boulevard running east off of Buckner Tarzan. Tract A is highlighted here north of Greystone Boulevard. Tract B is south of Greystone Boulevard. The preliminary development plan that was submitted by Andrew Danner with Winford Design Build, first in regards to Tract A, that's this location that is north of Greystone Boulevard. He is requesting a change of zoning of approximately 5.12 acres from District C2 General Business District to District R3P, which is Multifamily Residential District Planned Overlay District. So this would be Lot 1, which I'm highlighting here with the pointer. And then the second part would be a change of zoning of approximately 1.92 acres from C2 General Business District to C2P General Business Planned Overlay District, which would be Lot 2, which I'm highlighting with the pointer in this general vicinity. The background of this track was platted with tracks B, C, and D in the Greystone Plaza subdivision in November of 2005. The city's comprehensive plan, the preferred land use map in the city's comprehensive plan shows this as a mixed-use development. The proposed change in zoning and development plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The proposed change in zoning and development plan is consistent with the planned proposed development with a mixture of multifamily and commercial, supports and enhances overall community enhancement with the other multifamily residential and single-family residential development in the area. To the east of this proposed development is R3 PUD, Plan Unit Development. To the north of this area, although it's vacant, is zoned commercial. And then, as I pointed out, is Buckner Tarzan is to the west of this development. The purpose of the plan, as shown here, is the Tract A will consist of 13 fourplex buildings that will contain a total of 52 units. In the District R3, development will be required to have 2,680 square feet of open space. The plan shows more than that. In fact, it shows a little over 2.5 acres of open space. In Lot 2, the plan shows 3 buildings, retail office, that will provide one 4,200 square foot office building and then 2 4,800 square foot office building for a total of 13,800 square feet of retail space. The planned overlay district, the purpose of it is to provide flexibility in regards to the change of zoning so that the board and plan commission during the review of the development plan can take a look and provide flexibility in regards to open space, parking, roads, drives, and variations in the setback and yard requirements. There are very few variations in regards to this development plan. The only variations in regards to the setback requirements in this proposed development plan are the front yard setbacks along the proposed shell court. This would be a new cul-de-sac. The developer is requesting that the front yard setback be 25 feet. The front yard setback normally in an R3 is 30-foot setback. So he's just requesting a 5-foot variation in regards to that setback. However, in regards to the setback in the rear yard, he's complying with the 30-foot setback in that requirement. In regards to the flexibility yard requirement along Shell Court, that would be along this area here. Again, he's showing a 25-foot. Normally in R3, that would be a 30 feet. So it's a very minimal requirement in regards to the variation that he's requesting in the planned overlay district. In a planned overlay district, when abutting or adjoining a residential zone district, there shall be a permanently screened wall or fence at least 6 feet in height. So when we're looking at a separation between the proposed residential area and the proposed commercial area, I'm going to flip to the plan here in regards to the landscaping. The developer is proposing a 6-foot tall white vinyl fence. And then as you can see, he's proposing an ornamental landscaping that's heavily dense that will provide a screen between that residential and the commercial area. This does meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. In regards to exterior wall within 300 feet of and visible with the right-of-way of Buckner Tarzan Road, as you know, the ordinance requires certain exterior building materials. The developer in a note states that those building materials will be complied with, that they will be masonry, stone, brick, or stucco, or approved gypsum, concrete, plaster material, and those will be provided. In regards to the development plan, the city's Parks and Recreation Plan calls for a bike trail along Buckner Tarzan Road. The developer will be constructing that trail along the east side of Buckner Tarzan Road. It'll be a 10-foot wide trail north of Greystone Boulevard, and then also on the south side of Greystone Boulevard, be a 10-foot wide trail according to city specifications. And then in a moment, we'll talk a little bit further about the addition of the trail through Track B. But to wrap up, in regards to the comments on Track Day, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on May 12th. The commission unanimously voted to approve the rezoning and preliminary development plan for Greystone West Track Day, subject to staff comments. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission had one comment and condition that they wanted to add to the development plan, and that is behind the building that had the rear yard to Buckner Tarzan. They wanted the developer to add a berm along the adjacent to Buckner Tarzan Road. The developer has amended the landscape plan to show that landscape berm, and therefore staff as well as the recommends approval of the track day for rezoning and preliminary development plan approval. Are there any questions?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yes, this is open for citizens' comments. Seeing none. Move on to resolutions. Sorry. Have to close the public hearing on tract A and open public hearing on tract B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So tract B is the property south of Greystone Boulevard. And this is the request for the change of zoning on approximately 3.37 acres from the District C2 General Business District to District R3P Multifamily Residential District Planned Overlay District. Provided the background, again, this proposed development is consistent also with the city's comprehensive plan and preferred land use map. In regards to the purpose, the developer, Mr. Andrew Dander, is proposing a preliminary development plan that will consist of a 3-story, 48-unit senior apartment building. The planned overlay district, again, will be a planned overlay district and therefore providing some latitude and flexibility in regards to location of buildings and structures, in regards to setback requirements, in regards to the analysis of the proposed development. Again, there are very few requests in regards to that flexibility. In fact, the development basically is consistent with the setback requirements of the 30 feet. There was initially one comment on the revised development plan between the Plan Commission meeting and what was submitted prior to the submittal to the BOA agenda item, and that was in regards to the parking lot right up in this corner here. There's a requirement that the setback for parking be 10 feet from the property line. As you can see, that was closer to that. However, the developer has submitted a supplemental drawing that shows that they can comply with that 10-foot setback and still provide the necessary parking to meet the requirements of the code in regards to 2 parking spaces per unit. And therefore, we just wanted to point that out, that plan will be revised before it comes back before the Plan Commission, as well as ultimately before the Board of Aldermen for the final development plan. So staff feels that they have met that condition in regards to that supplemental drawing that they provided earlier today, and that I wanted to point out to you today as well. So let's, in regards to fencing, as pointed out before, there's that requirement again from adjacent residential area. So there will be a white vinyl fence, 6 feet tall, between the proposed senior citizen apartment unit building, 3-story, and the fourplex buildings here. And then as you can see, this will be an ornamental landscape, heavily dense area that will provide that screening between these 2 proposed development. Also, again, in regards to the exterior building materials that will comply with the requirement because of the proximity to Buckner Tarzan Road and meet that requirement. In regards to the city's trail master plan, as pointed out, the construction of the trail north of Greystone Boulevard, the developer is also going to construct a trail on the south side, Greystone Boulevard, but they're also going to construct a 10-foot wide trail through this conservation easement area and all the way back to the edge of their property. So as many of you are familiar with this area, the city owns some property farther to the east of here that's been designated as a park that is basically south and east of Greystone residential subdivision that I believe goes all the way over to Seymour Road. Is that right? Yep. So this will provide that trail the start of the trail as far as the city's trail plan for the parks up in this general vicinity. And that would be built according to the city's specifications as far as the trail requirements. So with that, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on May 12th. The commission voted unanimously to approve the rezoning and preliminary development plan for Greystone West Tract B with staff conditions, including the required 96 parking spaces. The developer revised the plan. The plan has since been supported with a supplemental drawing to meet the 10-foot setback for that small parking area up in the southeast corner of the development. The revised development plan, staff recommends approval of the proposed revised development plan and recommends approval to the mayor and board of aldermen. Are there any questions?
Mark, have we had any inquiries for like more commercial building there in the past?
No, we have not.
No? Okay.
Any additional questions? Seeing none? Thank you. Oh,
We'll open it up. In a
Well, yeah, I was gonna open up for just a second. All right, I believe that's, mi- just a minute, ma'am. We haven't opened up for public discussion yet. We're good there, everything good on the questions there? Okay, that being said, we will open it up for public questions.
So will any of this ground be tipped out of,
No, there's no economic development tools or incentives being utilized on this.
okay, even if it develops commercially?
Yeah, there's nothing in, this is just a standard development.
No additional questions? Close the public hearing. Okay, now next item, resolutions. First resolution, R21-36, a resolution to execute task agreement number 3 with Lamp Ryerson for Stormwater Master Plan update.
Mayor, I move we accept resolution R21-36.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, if you remember back to budget time, one of the things that was proposed to you was an update to our stormwater master plan. Besides the fact that the last one was done in 2004 and it was much overdue, one of the reasons it was even more appealing to us was there was a program through the Department of Natural Resources and subsequently through Jackson County to basically do a 50-50 cost share on that stormwater master plan. So we have got the proposal from our on-call engineer, Lamp Ryerson, and that is the resolution before you. We'll be entering into the agreement with them to conduct that study.
No further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Seeing none, motion carries 6-0. Next item, resolution R21-37, authorizing the city to enter, to install 2 street lights in the Bush Business Park replat subdivision.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept resolution R21-37.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, these are the resolutions that you probably become fairly familiar with. And the next 4 are going to be the same thing, just different locations. But this is one of the things when a development comes in, there are certain construction fees that we charge or development fees that we charge at that time. And streetlights are one of those. So this is the next step to actually get that approved and over to Evergy for design and, well, design is done, but for implementation.
So the cost is covered in the
Yeah, so when a new development comes in, one of the things they have to put on the plans are how many streetlights are going to be needed. And so there's a set cost in the fee schedule for that. So they pay that up front, and then when they get to that point where they're ready for it, then we go through the channels with Evergy and get those installed.
No further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, Resolution R 21-38. This is for authorizing installation of 4 street lights on the Eagles Ridge Boulevard between Northwest Jefferson Street and East Kansas City Industrial Boulevard.
I move that we approve resolution number R 21-38.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Alderman Headley. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, Resolution R 21-39, authorizing installation of 1 street light in Greystone Estates Phase 2 subdivision.
I move that we approve resolution number R 21-39.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, Resolution R 21-40, authorizing installation of 6 streetlights in the Valley Subdivision.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 21-40.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Next item, Resolution R 21-41. Resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into agreement with, buy-up agreement with ComPsych for employment assistance program.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 21-41.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Stratton. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is a program that we've offered for quite a few years now, but as part of our insurance program, 3 visits are covered for an employee, so it could be for anything that you have going in your life. You can call them and they'll have 3 visits to try to get you through whatever you're going through. But what we have been doing is buying up, essentially giving another 3 visits. So for any one issue, the first 6 visits are covered for an employee. So it's a benefit that we've had for quite a while and want to continue. This is just a new provider.
No further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Next item, ordinance B 21-14.
This is an ordinance changing, the zoning on approximately 5.12 acres from District C2 Central Business District to R3P Multifamily Residential District Planned Overlay District, and a change of zoning on approximately 1.92 acres from District C2 General Business District to District C2P General Business Planned Overlay District, and approval of preliminary development plan for Greystone West Tract A.
Mayor, I move we accept the first reading for Bill B 21-14 and bring it back for its second reading by title only.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
I'm sorry, there was 1 or 2 nays. Okay, motion carries 4-2. Next item, Bill B 21-15.
This is an ordinance changing the zoning on approximately 3.37 acres from District C2 General Business District to R3P Multifamily Residential District Planned Overlay District, and approval of preliminary development plan for Greystone West Tract B.
Mayor, I move we accept the first reading of Bill B 21-15 and bring it back for a second reading by title only at our next meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-2. Next item, city attorney's report. Next item, city administrator and staff report.
We'll start with Mr. Trozen.
So before you, I have the printed staff report that I usually give out to you, but a couple of other items wanted to share with you. As noted earlier, we still, with the exception of the striping left to go with the overlay program, we have completed, Superior Bowen has completed the overlay program for 2021, and as a part of that, we've completed all the concrete drives as well as the ADA ramps that are associated with that program. So we're done with the 2021 overlay program. The other item I wanted to share with you is we have our 2021 community development event this Thursday. Hope to see everyone there. We're 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. at the Armstrong Park. Last year, unfortunately, we weren't able to hold this event, but we're looking forward to it this year. This is a community development event where we get an opportunity to show the citizens of Prairie Valley what community development does. As many of you know, community development, not only from a planning and zoning, building permit standpoint, but we also do public works, GIS, IT, fleet maintenance, and we have a lot of hats. And so we have an opportunity to share with the public that evening. We're going to have Public Works do some demonstrations. They'll have some of their equipment up there, but we'll have games and hot dogs, chips, and soda for everyone, and it's free to the public. And have raffle and just a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll stay cool as well.
Good luck.
Ms. Ozenball.
Mayor and members of the board, I just wanted to give you an update. We received 6 branding proposals. 5 of those were received on time, though, so we'll be reviewing 5 of those next week. And again, thank you to Alderman Bass for agreeing to be part of that process.
Just a couple of things. We got the RFQ for architectural services for a new police station out last week. So those are due back on the 29th, I believe. And then the start of July, we'll start working through those, but hopefully get moving forward on that. And then the other thing, Mr. Beeman gave the audit a little bit earlier, but just wanted to thank Stephen and Mallory. They are the ones that do the heavy lifting for the audit, and I couldn't do that. And I don't. It's a special breed that lives and breathes that. But those are all the reports, Mayor.
Thank you. Next item, Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Bass.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Alderman Cleaver.
I just want to say I think the streets look real well that Superior Bowen has done. I saw the guys out, handing out, going door to door, putting things on doors, letting them know they're going to be on the streets, and seems like they were in and out, and it didn't seem like there was much disruption, but I don't know. You probably maybe got some calls, but I just wanted to say that I thought the streets and the way they handled things looked very well. That's all.
Alderman Headley.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Knox.
Chief Bill, I had an alarm at my residence the other night, in the middle of the night, for some odd reason. Quick response, very professional. I don't know why the alarm company didn't call them off, but good job for the officers.
Alderman Mills.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Stratton.
Just a quick question, Ken. With that report from the auditor, is that the same company that gives us our credit rating?
No.
Okay.
No, that comes through just agencies that do that on their own.
Next item, mayor's report. I have nothing to add. I wasn't comment on the event at the park Thursday, and I would like to see everybody out there too.
I'll be out of town.
Shouldn't need jackets. That being said, I believe there's a need for executive session.
Yes, Mayor, for items 1, which is legal, and 3, personnel.
Do I have a motion? Go to adjourn to exec.
Motion, we go to executive.
Motion from Alderman Knox. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Mills. Roll call, please.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Headley,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton.
Yes.
That being said, we'll adjourn from regular session and move to executive.
Chief, I don't know who the officers were. I'm terrible with knowing the officers, but